Andrew Berry didn't wait for the off-season. He didn't wait for the draft. He heard Shedeur Sanders' complaints loud and clear. Breaking news this morning, Cam Robinson is out. The experiment is over. And replacing him? The Browns just made a massive trade with the Detroit Lions. The Browns have agreed to terms to acquire veteran left tackle Taylor Decker. This is a guy who anchored one of the best offensive lines in football for a decade. He is tough, he is mean, and he is exactly what Shedeur needs. Sources say Shedeur personally asked for a veteran who knows how to win, and the front office delivered the Detroit Wall to Cleveland. But there is a catch. The Lions only made this trade because they are clearing cap space for a massive signing of their own. I have the details on the other move that made this trade possible. NFL won't push this video because it involves cap space leaks. Subscribe and hit the bell right now. If you want to know the full grade of this trade before ESPN breaks it down, click that button. Let's analyze the new Wall. P, here's why Taylor Decker changes everything for this offense. The Cleveland Browns just made a move that screams desperation. But it might be the exact kind of desperation that saves a franchise from total collapse. We aren't talking about a depth signing or a special teams adjustment. We are talking about the front office looking at their roster, looking at the disaster that was last season, and deciding to import a violent, proven protector from the Detroit Lions to physically shield their most expensive asset. This isn't just a trade. It's an admission of guilt. It's the Browns admitting they almost ruined Shedeur Sanders. And now they are willing to pay any price to stop the bleeding. But what makes this move truly shocking isn't just who they brought in. It's who they are pushing out. To make room for this upgrade, a veteran starter is being shown the door in a cold-blooded business decision, but has the locker room talking. If you want to know if the Browns are finally serious about winning, look no further than the offensive line room. Because the message has been sent. Protect the quarterback or get out. To understand why this move is shaking up the NFL, you have to look at the crime scene that was Shedeur Sanders' rookie season. The statistics tell a horror story, but the film shows something much worse. We aren't just talking about a low completion percentage or a bad touchdown to interception ratio. We are talking about a quarterback who was running for his life from the first snap of Week 1. Last season, Sanders wasn't just sacked, he was hunted. He was hit more times than almost any rookie in the last decade. You could see the confidence draining out of him in real time. By Week 10, he wasn't even looking downfield anymore. He was staring at the pass rush, waiting for the impact. That is how you break a franchise quarterback. That is how you turn a top prospect into a bust before his career even really starts. The Browns saw this. They watched the tape, and they realized that if they didn't change the environment immediately, the damage to Sanders' psyche would be permanent. So, why go to Detroit for the solution? Because the Detroit Lions have built something that Cleveland has been desperate for. A culture of pure, unadulterated violence in the trenches. The Lions. Offensive line isn't just a group of blockers. They are road graders. They have been coached to finish plays, to bite kneecaps, and to physically intimidate defensive lines. That is the DNA the Browns are importing. By poaching a starter from that system, Cleveland isn't just adding a body. They are adding a philosophy. They need a player who knows what elite protection feels like. Someone who can walk into that huddle and demand a higher standard. The Lions system relies on communication, complex stunt pickups, and a nastiness that the Browns lacked last year. This new addition is expected to anchor the line, effectively telling the rest of the unit, this is how we do things now. It's a culture shock that is long overdue. But every major move has a casualty, and in this case, it's Cam Robinson. This is where the NFL shows its ugly side. Robinson hasn't been terrible. In fact, by league standards, he's been a serviceable average tackle. But in the AFC North, average gets your quarterback sent to the hospital. The Browns front office made a calculation. Cam Robinson's ceiling is too low for where they need to go. It's a brutal reality check. You can be a good teammate, you can show up on time, and you can play decent football, but if the guy behind you is the future of the franchise, and you can't keep him upright, you are expendable. Pushing Robinson aside sends a chilling message to the rest of the roster. It says that tenure doesn't matter. Likability doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is keeping the quarterback clean. If you can't do that, the Browns will find someone who can, regardless of how brutal the cut feels. There is a ghost haunting every NFL GM who drafts a quarterback high, and that ghost is David Carr. For those who don't know, Carr was a #1 overall pick who was sacked 76 times in his rookie year. He never recovered. He developed phantom pressure syndrome, where he would flinch even when no one was near him. The Browns are terrified that Shedeur Sanders is heading down that same path. This move is an intervention. It's the organization trying to rewire Sanders' brain before the bad habits set in like concrete. By investing heavily in a Lions lineman known for pass protection, they are trying to buy Sanders the one thing money usually can't buy: time. Time to scan the field. Time to reset his feet. And most importantly, time to trust that he won't get blindsided. If they can convince him that the pocket is safe again, they might be able to salvage his potential. If they fail, the physical talent won't matter because the mental game will be gone. If you want to know a team's true priorities, don't listen to the press conferences. Look at the bank account. Offensive linemen from elite units like Detroit do not come cheap. This signing likely required significant salary cap gymnastics. The Browns are pulling money away from other positions. Maybe wide receiver depth, maybe defensive rotation pieces, to funnel it all into the offensive line. This is all-in behavior. You don't pay a premium for a bodyguard unless the VIP is worth protecting. This tells us that despite the rookie struggles, the Browns brass still believes Shedeur is the guy. They are putting their jobs on the line, quite literally, by betting that this financial investment will turn into wins. They are stripping down other parts of the luxury car just to upgrade the engine protection. It's a risky gamble, but when you look at the alternative, another season of sacks and losses, it's the only move they could make. We also have to look at where these games are played. The AFC North is not a finesse division. It is a street fight. You have TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, Myles Garrett in practice, and the Ravens' chaotic blitz schemes. A decent offensive line gets chewed up and spit out in this division. The Browns learned that the hard way. By bringing in a Lions-bred lineman, Cleveland is trying to match the physicality of their rivals. You cannot beat the Steelers by throwing quick screens all day. Eventually you have to drop back and pass. If your tackle can't hold up against a premier edge rusher for 3 seconds, you lose the game. It's that simple. This acquisition is a direct countermove to the pass rushers that terrorized Sanders last year. It's Cleveland trying to build a wall in the middle of a war zone. However, there is a dark side to this upgrade for Shedeur Sanders. When the team gives you a perfect pocket, the excuses vanish. Last year, everyone could point to the line and say, it's not his fault, he had no time. That shield is gone now. By fixing the offensive line, the Browns are effectively putting Sanders on the clock. If the protection holds up next season, and he still struggles with reads, accuracy, or holding the ball too long, the narrative flips instantly. He goes from victim of circumstances to bust. It's a high-pressure environment, but that is the life of an NFL quarterback. The organization is saying, we did our part. We bought you the protection. Now do yours. The million-dollar question remains. Can Sanders actually fix his flaws? The critics will tell you that sacks are a quarterback stat. They'll say that Sanders holds the ball too long, that he hunts for the big play instead of taking the check down. And they aren't entirely wrong. But you cannot teach a quarterback to speed up his processing when he's eating dirt every play. This move allows for a fair evaluation. With a stable pocket, we will finally see if Sanders can go through his progressions. We will see if he can manipulate a defense with his eyes. The Lions lineman brings stability, but he can't throw the ball. The development staff in Cleveland now has a clean laboratory to work in. No more chaos, just football. This is the year we find out if the talent is real or if the hype exceeded the reality. Don't underestimate what this does to the locker room morale. When veterans on defense see the offense getting destroyed every week, resentment builds. They get tired of holding opponents to 17 points and still losing because the offense gave up a strip sack for a touchdown. Bringing in a proven commodity from a winning culture like Detroit energizes the entire building. It signals to the defense, we are trying to fix this. It signals to the receivers, you might actually have time to run a double move route this year. It resets the emotional baseline of the team. A confident offensive line is the heartbeat of a football team. When they walk with swagger, the quarterback walks with swagger. And suddenly, the Browns look like a completely different animal coming out of the tunnel. The Cleveland Browns have drawn a line in the sand. By poaching talent from Detroit and ruthlessly upgrading their protection, they have declared that the era of excuses is over. They are done letting their quarterback get battered, and they are done accepting mediocrity at the tackle position. This is a move that prioritizes the future over feelings, and protection over politics. But the real story is just beginning. The pieces are in place, the money has been spent, and the sacrificial lambs have been cut. All eyes turn to Shedeur Sanders. He has his bodyguard, he has his armor. The question is, does he have the game to back it up? Because in the NFL, you can buy protection, but you can't buy heart. And you can't buy victory. Those, he's going to have to earn himself.